invocation will be given to us by Reverend Jason Carr of the Apostolic Church of Beaumont, Texas. If everyone would please silence your cell phone, and if you so choose, please stand and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
We come before you this afternoon, so thankful for your faithfulness and your goodness, O Lord, this day. Thankful that your word says, God, if anyone lacks wisdom, let him ask, and you would give liberally. God, we're asking for your wisdom for this mayor, for this council, Lord, for the citizens here of Beaumont. Lord, you know the future, you know the plans. I pray that you would give wisdom, direction, and guidance, God, that your kingdom come and your will be done in earth as it is in heaven. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the Republic for which it stands, under God. May I have roll call, please?
Mayor West.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Turner. Councilmember Durio.
Present.
Councilmember Hilliard. Councilmember Williams. Councilmember Sherwood. And Councilmember Crenshaw. Thank you.
All right, today we have 4 proclamations and 3 presentations. For those that are here for the proclamations and recognitions, we would like if you'd like to take pictures, that's fine, but please allow the city to take the first photographs. And then you can jump right up there. The first proclamation will be recognizing the month of June as the National Family Reunification Month. Accepting will be Miss Alicia Bean, Executive Director of the Lula Foundation. And anybody that is with you, certainly bring them up as well. To say something too, but we'll usually take the picture first. Now we'll move in for Corey. Chris.
Yeah. Okay, right here. And 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Got it.
Hi, you guys. On behalf of Lula Foundation and DFPS, we'd like to thank you for recognizing this month as Family Reunification Month. We believe in our city, and we believe that families belong together, and we're stronger when we work together.
Thank you so much for recognizing June as Family Reunification Month, as Alicia said. And my name's also Alicia Jinkerson with DFPS. Thank you for inviting me to come today. We work together. We want our families to be strengthened and be together because our community is whole when our families are whole. So again, thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Stacia Morris. I am a mental health peer support and recovery coach with the Lula Foundation. And I also want to thank you for recognizing this as Family Reunification Month. As someone who has participated in such services and who has lost their kids and regained them, this is something that's very dear to my heart, and I appreciate y'all.
Thank you all. Next, we have a proclamation recognizing June 12th, 2025 as the National Philippine Independence Day. Accepting will be Mr. Vincent Jasper Kawinlan. I got it wrong, Japs, I'm sorry. And President of the Filipino Association, and also Vice President Abby Bahar of Beaumont, Texas. And everybody else that's present, please come forward.
Right here. 1, 2, 3. Got it. Thanks.
Mayor Roy West, honorable members of the City Council, and fellow members of our beloved Beaumont community, good afternoon. Today is more than just a ceremonial moment for us in the Filipino community. This is history in the making. On behalf of the Philippine Association of Beaumont, Texas, and the thousands of Filipino Americans across Southeast Texas, I stand before you filled with pride, humility, and deep gratitude. By recognizing June 12 as Philippine Independence Day, the City of Beaumont is not only honoring our heritage, but also embracing the values of freedom, unity, and resilience that we share as Americans and Filipinos. This is the first time in Southeast Texas that such a proclamation has been officially recognized, and only the third in the state of Texas. That is no small milestone. For our community, this is a powerful symbol. We are seen, we are valued, and we belong. Let me take a moment to share why June 12 is so meaningful to Filipinos around the world. On June 12, 1898, in the town of Kawit, Cavite, General Emilio Aguinaldo declared the independence of the Philippines after more than 300 years of Spanish colonial rule. That day, the Philippine flag was raised and our national anthem was played for the first time. It marked the birth of free Filipino nation and a people determined to shape their own destiny. And while our path to true sovereignty was long and complicated, surviving foreign occupations, wars, and dictatorships, Filipinos have always held fast to the spirit of kalayaan or freedom. It is a word that doesn't just mean political independence. It means dignity, identity, and the right to be heard. This is why today's recognition means so much to us. For every Filipino who left home to start new life in the Southeast Texas, for the nurses, the teachers, the engineers, the students, the dreamers, this proclamation is more than a civic gesture. It is a bridge between our past and our future. It is a message to our children that their culture matters and that their story is part of the larger American story. I want to sincerely thank Mayor Roy West and the City Council for embracing diversity and for standing with our community and celebrating this important day. We are honored and we are inspired. To my fellow kababayan, let this be a reminder that even far from home, we can carry our flag with pride. We can share our food, our dances, our values, and our voices. We can build community not just within our circles, but by contributing to the very fabric of this great city we now call home. Let this proclamation be a beginning, not just a celebration of what was, but a call to continue building what can be. May this inspire us to educate, to connect, and to uplift one another as Filipinos, as Southeast Texans, and as a proud citizen of a shared world. Mabuhay ang Pilipinas, mabuhay ang Beaumont, at mabuhay ang pagkakaibigan natin. Long live the Philippines, long live Beaumont, and long live our friendship. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have a proclamation recognizing June 7th, 2025 as World Food Safety Day, and accepting will be Mr. Kenneth Coleman, City of Beaumont Public Health Director.
Yeah, this side's better. Right here. Come on, this side. That's better. Okay. And 1, 2, 3. We do one this way. Got it.
Come on, Patrick. Mayor West and Council, thank you so much for this recognition of World Food Safety Day. And this really is the first time the Health Department has received this proclamation. But World Food Safety Day is observed globally every June 7th, and it's to raise awareness of the importance of food safety and the critical role it plays in preventing foodborne illnesses, which affects roughly about 600 million people worldwide, causes 420,000 deaths from foodborne illnesses. But when we bring it closer to home to the United States, we're looking at roughly about 48 million people get sick from foodborne illnesses, 128,000 end up in a hospital, and 3,000 people die every year. So this proclamation really serves as an eye-opener to the important work that this crew does, and a few of them are missing, is that they work tirelessly. We issue in excess of 1,000 permits per year in this city. And each permit on the average takes around 2 inspections per year. That's average. And so they play a very, very critical role in ensuring that what we consume is safe to consume. They work tirelessly to protect the integrity of the food. So again, I just want to thank them publicly, as I do always, of their hard work, their dedication to ensuring that when we go out to eat, as we all do, and when we go to the grocery stores as we buy our food, this is the crew that ensures that what you're purchasing is safe to eat. So again, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Council, for this recognition.
Next, we have a proclamation recognizing June 14th as the official celebration of the Juneteenth holiday here in Beaumont. The City of Beaumont Juneteenth celebration returns to Main Street in downtown Beaumont, offering live entertainment, cultural performances, and community engagement as we honor the history and significance of Juneteenth. This year's entertainment lineup is led by the legendary R&B funk group Midnight Star, famous for the timeless hits like Midas Touch and No Parking on the Dance Floor. The event will be hosted by Eric T. with Magic 102.5 and DJ Choppa, spinning dynamic beats to keep the energy high, and special guests with the Southeast Texas Line Steppers. The Bubble Blitzer Foam Party is making a comeback to this year's celebration, especially tailored for the kids. In addition to the foam party, there will be free youth activities along with face painting in the main library parking lot, with lots of other activities to enjoy. A variety of food trucks will be at Main Street. Guests are encouraged to bring chairs and picnic blankets to relax between the Julie Rogers Theater and the main library. In addition to lounging in the shade, a cooling tent will be available for patrons to escape the heat. Admission is free and it's open to the public, and you're encouraged to bring your friends and family. Next, we have a presentation of City of Beaumont Service Awards.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. This is one of my favorite times of the years when we come up and we get to acknowledge our employees, in particular our long-term employees. Beaumont's very fortunate to have employees that are this tenured. All cities are not able to keep people this long, so we're very fortunate. You know, they are the glue that holds this organization together, and we appreciate them. So we're going to acknowledge a few of them today, along with the mayor, and Jackie's going to help us do that. Ready? Okay, first with 25 years of service, Ms. Marilyn Roach of Landfill Operations, Landfill Tech. Next is Corey Pinkney, Criminal Investigations, Police Officer, 25 years. Nolan Callier, Information Technology, Help Desk Analyst 2, 25 years. Thanks once again. Lance Tyner, Criminal Investigations, Police Lieutenant, 30 years. Thank you. Jesus Taballo, Police Administration, Police Sergeant, 30 years. And certainly last but not least, Rodney Hudgens, Information Technology Support Manager, 30 years. Okay. Thank you to each and every one of the employees. Thank you.
A reception is now being held on the first floor at the conference room for the service award recipients and their families. Those that are here for the proclamations and service award presentations and you'd like to leave, now's the time to do so. And thank you for coming. Now we have a couple of presentations. The first one's going to be the City of Beaumont Communication Update.
Good afternoon, everyone. In this week's announcements, the Bond Committee is working hard reviewing projects that could be included in a future bond election. Your input matters, and all meetings are open to the public. The next one's coming up June 9th and then June 25th at the Lakeside Center Meeting Room from 5 to 7 p.m. If you'd like to learn more, head over to beaumontbonds.com. And I want to mention all those meetings are open to the public. Today is the last day of early voting in the city's mayoral runoff election. Polls are open tonight until 7. Election day is coming up this Saturday, June 7th, so make sure you get out and cast your ballots. Mark your calendars for a community favorite. I think we already touched on this, and the mayor probably did it better, but I'm going to tell you again. The annual Juneteenth celebration back on Saturday, June 14th from 4 to 9 p.m. at the Main Street Outdoor Plaza in downtown Beaumont. We will have live music, cultural performances, show-stopping performance by Midnight Star. It is completely free. Just bring your lawn chairs, a picnic blanket. Come ready to celebrate with your friends and family. And we will have tents set up to help you beat the heat. Speaking of summer, summer camp is back at the Sterling Pruitt Activity Center for kids 5 to 12. These are 2 sessions. There's one on June 9th, one on July 31st. The cost is $150 per session, and registration is now open. Our Beaumont public pools are open and ready to help you beat the heat. Come cool off at our pools in Magnolia Park and Alice Keith Park. The pool there, the hours are Sunday to Thursday, 12 to 6, and Friday and Saturday, 12 to 5. And don't forget, we also have 10 splash pads around town to help you stay cool all summer long. And finally, for something we've all been waiting for, we're ready to hear about the grand reopening of Riverfront Park. And we want you to join us for a ribbon cutting ceremony on Thursday, June 12th. It's the first time our families will be able to enjoy the riverfront again after it was damaged during Tropical Storm Harvey. We're kicking things off at 5:30 along the riverbank behind City Hall with a ribbon cutting ceremony, followed by our summer sundown concert right next to the riverfront. And we'll enjoy food. We'll have a food truck out there, live music, plus the first 100 guests will get free ice cream and free sweet tea. So we can't wait to welcome you back to this beautiful space along the Neches River. And that's all for this week's announcements.
Thank you. And next, we have a presentation of the proposed BMT ZIP Student Mobility Program. Claudia San Miguel, General Manager of the Beaumont Transit Management, will be making the presentation along with staff.
So good afternoon. I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves real quick.
Hi, I'm Willow White. I'm the Director of Finance and HR.
And I'm Carla Gilbert, Operations Manager.
So the program that you have before you, good afternoon again, everybody. I don't know how to say that. But anyway, so we have a program that we've been working on, I want to say, for the last 4 to 6 months. And hopefully you're going to get to hear real quick from the Lamar administrators that are here today to speak in support of this program. So this program came as a result of inquiries, questions, recommendations coming from either students, general community, and some of our drivers to provide with an additional fare structure that will provide for the needs of those that need to attend school, they're trying to attend school, but they have limited mobility within their houses. So meaning there's only one car or just 2, parents need to go to work. So basically it becomes a challenge just to be reaching their destination, in this case, higher education school, whether the college, the university, and there's a couple of trade schools. So anybody attending to those programs will be benefiting, being able to take advantage of this program. So basically what we do on a daily basis, and we say is we safely connect the community with, their destination. And we're gonna move to the next one, just get to pretty much the bones of it. So basically, hopefully once with your approval, this student pass will allow students to pay one time for the whole semester, each session or each summer session. The regular, whether spring or fall, is 115 days, just to give you an idea what we're talking about. Those receiving this pass or buying this pass are going to be able to ride the bus in unlimited times throughout the day, as long as the school is in session. It's 115 days for the regular sessions. It's 45 days for the summer session, just to put those things in perspective. So basically having that access to frequent and reliable transportation is going to enable, empower for those students that really are trying or striving, but then again, having some difficulties reaching the school. So this is what this program is about. Obviously, the benefits, like I just said, we're just trying to make it affordable, offer options, even students that are currently enrolled, and they're looking at, again, being able to move to, from, and not only just go to school, maybe trying to go out and get a part-time job, trying to go home and come back to school. So that becomes sometimes a problem. When you have limited mobility at home, this is what's gonna be the solution for them. Obviously, this is gonna be an investment or use of the investment because we already have the assets, which is the buses that belong to the city. So basically, we're trying to maximize, and again, just I want to say repurpose, because obviously we're going through Lamar, we're going through LIT and a few of those trade schools every day. We're trying to put it out there where it's going to be more, I want to say, easier for them to really access public transportation. Obviously, this is not only for us, but any visitors, students attending Lamar, LIT, they're all going to be able to take advantage of this program. And obviously, at the end, we're going to promote public transportation, maximize the use of the buses as we have it right now. Again, more on the benefits. This is going to reach to everybody, young, senior people, anybody trying to seek higher education. This is going to provide them with that mobility. Obviously, this is what I was just talking about earlier, is maximize the use of the assets that we already have, building the SIP customer base, and hopefully increasing the pool of potential employees. Again, we have a lot of young kids trying to go to college and missing opportunities to get those part-time jobs because they do not have another option. I mean, sometimes they drop them off at the school, the university, the college, and there's nobody to move them back and forward. So this is gonna present them, you're gonna pay once, and you're gonna be able to use this service, day in, day out, all the way till Saturday. We also run on Saturdays. So basically, that's what this will bring to the community. In addition to something that we work after meeting with some of the staff and administration from Lamar, being able to connect students not just to the university but out of the university. And we identify the points of interest. Again, this information is coming back from the counselors, the people that work, on a daily basis with students. They want to connect, with shopping opportunities, groceries, a couple of things that they might need. Also, additional medical service. They provide medical service at the university, but if they need to follow up on something more specific, also some leisure things, Tinseltown, Main Event, different things like that. There are some very specific stores, grocery stores that are trying to reach, and right now, because they have limited vehicles at the university, again, this is going to maximize the opportunity for them to reach out to those specific grocery stores. And it so happened that our buses go pretty much by a couple of them. So again, if they need to go out and buy certain groceries, they're going to be able to do so throughout the day, or on Saturdays when school is not in session. The last route, again, connecting to pretty much everything of Dowling Street, hardware stores, shopping, again, medical services. So if you can see, they're gonna have a lot of opportunities to connect to all those destinations, whether because they're gonna go out and be a little bit of doing purchases, but also to go back and hopefully seek that extra income, whether a part-time job or a full-time job, whatever the case might be. Eligibility is very simple. You just have to show proof of enrollment. It's just, the registration. Any accredited college, university, or trade school student will be eligible for this. Once, and hopefully with your approval, we're gonna be working with each institution to determine what that proof of registration is gonna be and make sure that we issue them only for those eligible students. We have a few issues, but for the most part, we do not expect any problem. But to be eligible, you need to have a clean record with the transit system. Application, 1 page, name, basic information. The bottom part is where the university or the college or the trade school is gonna basically stamp and approve that application to validate that the individual is enrolled for the current session. They're gonna be issued an ID card. So the ID card is gonna have their picture. It's gonna be good for that session, spring, fall, or summer session. The recovery fee is $5. And this is what is the proposed fare schedule. The thing to keep in mind, fall and spring semester, there's 115 days each. The pass will be good, from 6 in the morning that we start running, all the way to 9:30 that we close. It's basically unlimited rides for the entire session, 115 days, fall, spring, summer, it's 45 days. And that will be the cost. The paratransit, if you're familiar with it or not, is those small vans, specialized transportation. Those are curb to curb. Basically, the driver is gonna meet you at the curb of your destination and pick you up there. You have to schedule your trips, and those have to meet certain ADA requirements. So obviously, those are people with certain limitations, whether mobility or some other type of disability. SIP pass, once and if approved, those passes could be purchased today, will only be purchased at our office. The next steps is to start working immediately with school administration to bring this one step higher, which will be hopefully incorporate this expense that it is actually a financial aid eligible expense. So this is what we're gonna try to get real quick, because the people, those individuals that are having some challenges, mobility challenges, or those that really need this pass. And like I said, it's gonna be, hopefully, like I said, it'll be able to get approved through, an agreement with the university where they wanna submit that as part of their financial aid. So the end goal is to have this as a zero out-of-pocket for those individuals that really, really need and can benefit from this service. And basically, that's it. Again, a project to bring, opportunities, a project that's gonna create, financial support, possibly increase the pool of applicants for those specific part-time jobs, and projects that are gonna maximize the investment already in place as far as, the buses and your equipment. That's what I have, yes.
Councilman Turner.
First and foremost, thank you guys for being proactive and doing something for our students. This might enhance them to actually reside in our city after college. And I noticed on there you also had high school students. I appreciate that. Is it a certain age limit you have to be or have to be accompanied by an adult?
The recommendation is gonna be 17 and up, just to make sure, everybody's safe. School transportation, typically they're gonna have those assistants on the buses. Our buses is public transportation, so really we don't have anybody monitoring anybody underage. So the recommendation will be to limit it at 17 years and older.
And just my second question, just following up with the city manager, I don't know how other council members feel, but we once did something in the past for our veterans. If I can see I would like to see a program similar to this for our veterans to be able to get to their appointments and other places they might need to get to, if that is possible. I would really be, yeah.
Yeah, we have a program, and Claudia might kind of talk about it really quickly and explain how it goes.
So yes, sir. So we brought this item a few months back, and it's up and running. Veterans is also one page, and we work closely with the office right here, the county. They're the one that's also one page. Everything we do, we try to make it quick. We don't want to have to sit, and through 200 layers of screening. So basically, they're going to be approving the application. Like I said, one page. They come to our office, which is a block away. We issue them with an ID, and this is no charge. Any veteran, any active service member, they get free transportation.
Yeah, I remember we talked about it. I just wanted to not say it's active and good and going, so I highly appreciate that. If we can get something we can share on social media, I would love to assist with that.
I would like to add too, I know Claudia had touched on it a little bit in her presentation. Bus fares are typically a financial aid eligible. So we would be working with, Lamar or LIT or any higher education, their financial aid office, to see if they qualify as well.
Councilman Hilliard, did you have something?
Yeah, what is the participation level for the new veterans program? Are you seeing a good amount of participation?
I want to say it's high. I wish I had the numbers with me right now, but it's high. We immediately after it was approved, and we work with the Southeast Texas Planning Commission. They have a group that advocates, and then there's two other local organizations that reach out to us. We issue them with applications. They brought it back to us, so it was really active way at the beginning. Everybody that was interested immediately enrolled to take advantage of it. Right after that, it kind of slowed down. So I want to venture to say that pretty much everybody that needs it is already taking advantage of it.
So, I mean, you've worked with the local VFWs and
We basically work with the local office right here, the Jefferson County office that they have
Veterans
there.
Affairs.
Yes, and we also attend to the stand-down events and offer information and,
Thank
try
you.
to put it out there as much as we can.
And I want to applaud the work. I know Dr. Taylor had asked about this, and y'all worked with Lamar University. There's a lot of students that need the transportation. And this allows to capture some of that sales tax here in Beaumont as well.
For sure.
So it's, but it also provides them with those additional resources. All right, Councilman Durio.
Yes, you mentioned, is this available to BISD students?
This will be available, anybody higher education. It can be extended to high school students. And like I say, my recommendation will be to have it 17 years and older.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
all right.
You do have high school students that attend, take classes at Lamar, so those students who will be eligible for that, because they are responsible for their own transportation. So most of those students are juniors and seniors, so if they're 17 years or older, they would be able to participate in this program.
Okay, thank you.
All right, well, thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Okay, at the close of the meeting, today's city council will recess into executive session to consider matters related to or contemplated or pending litigation in accordance with section 551.071 of the Government Code. Caleb Finter and Beaumont Professional Firefighters Local 399 interveners versus City of Beaumont, Christopher S. Boone, Kenneth Williams, Roy West, Earl White, Taylor Neal, Mike Getz, Odwin Samuel, Charles Durio, Albert Turner, and Randy Felshaw. Cause number B210244. At this time, we're going to do public comments. Now's the time for any citizen who wishes to speak. You may make public comment on the consent agenda, regular agenda items 1 through 4, or any other topic. Item 5 has already been heard in public hearing, therefore citizens cannot speak on that item. Citizens wishing to speak on item 6 or 7 will be given an opportunity to speak during the public hearing. The city clerk will call your name when it's your time to speak. When you approach the podium, please say your address, city, and state. You will have 3 minutes for comments. The green light will come on when you approach the podium, and the red light will come on when your time is up. Please be reminded that myself nor council can respond whenever you're making comments, but someone from our office will contact you.
Charlie Crabb, 928 East Drive, Beaumont, Texas.
How did I get promoted to first, Ms. Broussard? Anyway, good afternoon, Mayor and Council and all staff, Mr. Williams. It is another nice day in Beaumont, our town. We still have to do something about the shootings of, I guess it's gang members that are shooting one another, but it's giving our town a bad name. We've got to delve into that a lot more. But also, I want to talk about citizen activities, especially Terrell Park. I was driven through the park last Saturday, and we went around the park, and there's only 2 covered picnic areas out there, and both of them were reserved. And I didn't see any other activity in Terrell Park, and we need more young people activities out there. That play station over by the Wildlife Center, I guess that's what you call it. Anyway, it's nice. It probably needs to be moved over near the more into the center of the park. Anyway, there's just a lot to be done in the parks. And I even went by Pearlman Park in the West End. It's off of McLean Street, and it's pretty nice. They've got a lot of activity there, but it could use some more youth activity areas. I don't know, tetherball. Back in my day, that was a popular thing in the park to knock a tetherball around a pole, and stuff like that would small games would be helpful. All right. Riverside Park, boy, that's looking great. That's going to be nice to go down the river and be able to sit and enjoy that view. I enjoyed the presentation of the ZIP bus system. That's going to give Lamar a lot of rides and what have you. Now, veterans, I know they gave veterans a free ride, but they made them sign up.
Thank you, Mr. Crabb. Yes, sir.
Mike Getz, 7950 Phelan, Beaumont, Texas. Mr. Getz, you checked discussion item on your green slip. Are you wanting to make just public comments or? Yes, sir.
Mayor, City Council, Mike Getz, 7950 Phelan. I was a little surprised to read the headlines in the Beaumont Enterprise on June 1st, and it said residents back master park plan. Only 583 out of approximately 115,000 residents of Beaumont responded to the 4-month-long survey, which is 0.5%. I think it's a little ridiculous to try and draw any definitive conclusions from such a small sampling, but I do appreciate those citizens that took the time to participate. However, I am wondering if all the citizens that attempted to respond to the survey had their input recorded. I asked because I responded with something that I thought should be considered, but I saw no mention of it in the Master Parks Plan. Before I tell you what my proposal is, let me ask you a question, and I know you can't respond and discuss anything not listed as an agenda item, but let me ask you to raise your hand if any of you know what kind of racket this is. Anybody? Good. This racket is used to play racquetball. The only problem is that there is no public facility to play racquetball in Beaumont. Groves has one, Needleton has one, but Beaumont has no public racquetball courts. Why is that? We are concerned about being healthy and we want to be efficient with our time. 1 hour of racquetball burns between 600 and 800 calories. 1 hour of singles tennis burns between 575 and 775 calories. 1 hour of pickleball burns between 400 and 600 calories. 1 hour of golf with a cart burns between 150 and 300 calories. Clearly, racquetball is an incredibly efficient exercise, and it is a lot of fun. There's just no place to play, but there could be. Racquetball courts could be constructed on land that the City of Beaumont already owns at the Beaumont Municipal Athletic Complex. People could enter through the already existing pro shop, which also has bathrooms that people could use. People could pay whatever fee is determined to be appropriate to the same city employee that collects fees to play on the tennis courts. This is really a no-brainer. How can we, the largest city in the Golden Triangle, not provide our citizens the opportunity to participate in this sport? Can we at least put it on the bond proposal as a proposal in the bond package and see if citizens would support funding a facility like this? Thank you.
Thank you.
Dean Tucker, 2550 Long Avenue, Beaumont, Texas.
Hi, all. Dean Tucker, 2550 Long Avenue. I'm simply here to tell the truth about things as I see it today. What I'm going to reveal is I feel one of the greatest health secrets discovered in 100 years, over 100 years. 25 years ago, I was inspired to surrender my life to Jesus Christ. I told him, I'll do anything you want, just please make it clear to me. And my life changed dramatically as I followed that voice that I was able to hear more clearly. In January 2001, I woke with an amazing revelation. And here it is. In the category, and many, many people around the world know exactly what I'm talking about. And here in the category widely known as Schedule I of the Controlled Substance Act is a list of many harmful and highly addictive substances, but also secretly and deceptively hidden within this category are what can clearly be called several of the most revered, safe, and profoundly healing medicines on the face of the earth. None of these items legally belong in this category. They were put there through the use of propaganda, fear, and deception. Now I'm attempting to make it clear what I announced at City Council 24 years ago in a meeting, and that is this. As of right now, this is amazing, as of right now, at this moment in time, without the change of any law, I declare I have the legal access to all of these sacred, profoundly healing agents that are illegally and fraudulently listed in Schedule I of the satanic law, commonly known as Controlled Substance Act of 1970. As Attorney Gilbert Adams told me years ago, that we have an obligation to know the law, which includes all judges, lawyers, lawmakers, and law enforcers, as well as all citizens. It asks in the Bible, who's greater, the servant or the master? The federal government is our servant, not our master, and they need to be held accountable for the harmful fraud and deception they are attempting to propagate on the American people. So let us be guided by a law written by, let us not be guided by a law written by the heart of Satan, and let us be guided by truth, love, and compassion for others. And together, let's let the light of God shine on all of us. In the name of Jesus Christ, thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Rose Frazier, 1635 Avenue G, Beaumont, Texas.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Rose Frazier. Okay. Good afternoon. I'm Rose Frazier. And I'm here on behalf of what I'm trying to say. On behalf of playing in the stores and things, the machines, and it's just a thing that I can't get to the boat because I have no way of getting there. I love to pull on the machines, and I go sit in the store, and I play my little $5 or $10, whatever I'm gonna play, and I go back home. That is my recreation. And I don't think anything is wrong with that. But y'all want to close it down and all of this here. And what old people like me gonna do? I don't drive, so I can't get around and take myself to the boat. I have to get someone to drive me to the store where I'll play a while and enjoy myself and then I can go home. I can call my family member to pick me up and take me back home. That is all I have to do. I don't go to clubs. I don't believe in them. So I gotta have something to do, and that's what I do. So if y'all think I'm wrong, well, y'all vote on whatever y'all got to vote on. But I'm just voicing my opinion on this. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Keith Smith, 1780 Threadneedle Street, Beaumont, Texas.
How y'all doing today? I'm gonna keep it short and brief. I'm on behalf of the situation that the lady before me just mentioned. I frequent that establishment as well, and those are the things that I do as well. Like I say, I'm without transportation as we speak at the moment, and that's my only outlet. And it's a nice getaway for myself. And I would like to keep the establishment open if that's possible. Like I said, that's my only getaway at the moment. And I would like well, normally I would, if I had my transportation, I'm down on my transportation now right now, I would run behind the basketball. I like to exercise, but at the present moment I can't do this. So this is the establishment that I frequent, and I would like to keep it where I'm able to continue to go there, you know, and unwind, let myself what I would say vent, if you want to put it that way. But I thank you for the committee for your time, and hopefully y'all vote in our favor.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Daniel Campisi, 2095 Dowling Road, Beaumont, Texas. Hi, how are you?
Good afternoon, Mayor, council members, and members of the community. To start, I want to congratulate all the newly elected council members and say that I look forward to the fresh, progressive leadership you'll bring to our city in the years ahead. As we look toward progress and positive change, I want to highlight an issue I've been working on for some time now. Today marks the 5th time I've come here to raise awareness about serious issues affecting our youth and families, issues that challenge the very foundation of our community, the family unit. The issue is interference with child custody. Since January 2021, police have responded to more than 1,377 reports of child custody interference. But even when officers do their job, the choice to press charges isn't theirs. It lies with the Jefferson County District Attorney. So far, the district attorney hasn't taken action on any of these cases. Because of this lack of accountability, those who interfere with child custody feel emboldened to break the law without facing consequences. Until this changes, families who live here or wish to move here will continue face to face ongoing struggles within their families. But not to worry. I've put together a simple state-approved solution to this problem. All that I ask is that this council be open-minded and about recent changes in the law, review the solutions I've drafted, and adopt an ordinance allowing the police department to properly address these issues. By doing so, the city can finally hold violators accountable and send a clear message that our community will no longer tolerate violations against our youth and families. Additionally, adopting a new city ordinance gives the city an opportunity to reinvest in projects that support and secure the well-being of future generations. The time to act is now. We cannot wait for more children and families to suffer because of inaction. I hope that by sharing city statistics and guidelines of HB 969, this ordinance will soon be added to a future council agenda. If anyone on this board would like to have a PowerPoint that I've put together, please get with me after this and I will email them to you. Again, thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
The Pharaoh Richard, 5275 Parkview Drive, Beaumont, Texas.
Good afternoon. My name is Tarafi Valeda Richard. I go by Taffy Richard. I stand here today for one brief reason and one brief reason alone. It's because of a disturbing incident that occurred on Facebook. When I was a former social worker working with suicidal, homicidal children in Los Angeles, California, I sought the Holy Spirit every day to give me the words to be a light to children that were broken. If you do not understand, City Council, Beaumont is broken. We're facing many challenges. Since we are referring to scriptures in our Facebook posts, being born on Christmas Day, I was always told that I was a gift. So let me quote what B.H. Clendenin and what Reverend J.C. Franklin gave me from Pleasant Green Baptist Church from Matthew 12:25. A house divided against itself cannot stand. Without unity and agreement, how can you face all these challenges that we are facing? You should not be attacking the education, the degrees of another council member as you wear a mask. You said you would represent the people. You said that you would advocate for the suffering, for the unlearned, the unheard, the voices in the night that cry out because no one can speak for them. Take off your mask. This is not about you. You get in your BMWs, your Mercedes, and you go home to your houses with lights, gas, and water. This is not about your selfish agenda. This is about the people and the citizens of Beaumont, Texas, that gave you the opportunity to speak on their behalf. Stop it. It's disturbing. It's disturbing. How can you stand and represent us if you can't even get along? I'm not preaching, I'm not scolding. It's disturbing. As a social worker, crisis interventionist, we were a team. We were instructed, you do not speak ill will against one another because the children are watching. Your goal is to keep them safe and to keep them alive. They can never know that you don't get along. I'm pretty sure 99.99999% of Beaumont, Texas cannot stand me, but you would never know. But I love each and every one of you, and I encourage you, please stop it and don't ever quote scriptures. I know all 66 books of the Bible.
Thank you.
Addie Allen, 9695 Gross, Beaumont, Texas.
To council, Mr. City Manager, to the new council people and the old, my name is Addie Allen, 9695 Gross. I have before asked, since citizens have to do their address, why not the people when the roll is called? I don't know if there's a law against that, but I asked that about 2 years ago. I've never got an answer. But today I stand before you because we're in hurricane season. And of course, you know, I've stood here quite a few times talking about a notification system. In any evacuation saga, we need to know before we have disaster. To date, and I was told that this would be looked into. I also presented 2 companies that do evacuation plans. And if you're here the first time, that means that there's an audible noise throughout Jefferson County to let us know if the TV's not working, if the radio's not on, if the phones are acting funny. This sound will let us know something is up. So I'm asking Mr. City Manager and Council to look into this. We've had some different weather, snow in February. We've been here in council meeting 2 times when there has been warnings out there, and who knew? So something has to give so that people will know the city of Beaumont deserves this. The other thing is, thank you for the sidewalks. They're looking good on Fournette Road, and I hope they're high enough where water won't stand. The other thing that I'm concerned about, several council members have talked about ordinances. So the ordinances for change orders. So I'd like to know where that is, because even our new councilman, Mr. Hilliard, mentioned before, do we let bids and you have so many change orders that the lowest bidder becomes the highest bidder? Just a question, maybe not, because it's been cleared up before, the different kind of change orders that occur here in Beaumont through the city council. So those are the things that I'd just like to put on the table. Thank you for your service, and have a good day.
Thank you.
That's all I have for public comments, Mayor.
All right. Any other public comments? All right, now we're going to move into the consent agenda. Is there a motion and a second for approval of the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
There is a motion and a second for approval of the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving the consent agenda? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see it. Turn your.
Item C, on the purchase of the equipment for the fire department, I'm just, I know there's been some litigation going on around the country with antitrust laws and with people who produce this equipment. Do we know if this vendor that we're buying this from is named in any of this litigation or involved in any of that?
Chief White's coming forward.
So that's not a part of the purchasing document that they have to disclose that.
Okay.
Like typically when they go out for source, we just look for who has it available.
Okay.
And the prices that are available.
Yeah, it's a part of our replacement program on our hydraulics. Our jaws of life are no longer gasoline. These are all lithium battery powered. So what we're doing now is starting our replacement program. And the oldest set will go in reserve. The newest set will go as a front line.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions? All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. Mr. City Manager, may we have the reading of item number 1?
Thank you, Mayor. Council consider a resolution adopting the 2025 consolidated budget, 2025 through 2029 consolidated plan, which includes the 2025 annual action plan. And it comes with the recommendation of approval of the 2025 through 2029 Consolidated Plan, 2025 Annual Action Plan, and 2025 Consolidated Budget.
Is there a motion for item number 1?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
There is a motion and a second for approval of item number 1. Is there any discussion?
Mayor,
Yes.
I have one.
Councilman Durio.
I don't know for the new folks that's here, if we don't get a motion and a second, then we can't discuss it. And when we make the motion and the second, that's so we can discuss it and then decide how we want to vote on it. So in case y'all didn't know, I just wanted to let you know.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other discussion? With that, all in favor of approving item number 1, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. Mr. City Manager, may we have the reading of item number 2?
Council consider a resolution authorizing an emergency purchase for the autoclave sterilizer used in the laboratory at the wastewater treatment plant, and it comes with the recommendation of approval of the resolution.
Is there a motion for item number 2?
So move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
There is a motion and a second for approval of item number 2. Is there any discussion? Councilman Williams.
What dictated the emergency?
Councilman Williams, what happened is the current one we have completely quit. What this is used for, we are under our permit with TCEQ required to sterilize the disposable trays before we throw them in the trash. Therefore, we're not allowed, we don't have any way to dispose or sterilize these trays. So actually, we've just been bagging them, holding on to them until we get a new autoclave purchased. So the old ones are like 29 years old, and it was actually a hand-me-down.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All those in favor of approving item number 2, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. Mr. City Manager, may we have the reading of item number 3?
Council consider a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute change order number 8, accept maintenance, and authorize final payment to Alco LLC of Beaumont for the Pine Street SWTP polymer system and chemical storage tank improvements, which is a rebid project. And it comes with the recommendation of approval of the resolution.
Is there a motion for item number 3? Is there a second for approval?
Second.
All right, there is a motion and a second for approval of item number 3. Councilman Hilliard.
How did we spill 5,000 gallons of chemical? 5,446 gallons.
It was a series of spills that happened during the construction. There was, these are quite large tanks as they're going through construction. Guys, the contractor maybe not doing the best job of carefully moving around the piping equipment before everything was piped in. All of the spills happened within the containment area. All of the spills were cleaned up accordingly per all the environmental requirements, disposed of properly, and that is why we're part of that deduction, is because of those costs.
So did the city cause the spills or did the contractor?
Our understanding is that it was majority either the contractor or his subs.
So we're on the hook for what they did wrong?
No, the parentheses means deduction.
Sorry?
The parentheses indicate a deduction.
Okay.
Whenever it's in parentheses, it's a deduction. Whenever it's not in parentheses, it's adding. So this is the contract amount being removed.
Yeah, so we're recovering those funds.
Good, okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of approving item number 3, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. Mr. City Manager, may we have the reading of item number 4, please?
Council consider a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute change order number 1 to the contract with King Solution Services LLC of Houston, Texas for the Grand Avenue and Magnolia Avenue pipe bursting contract, Phase 1. It comes with the recommendation of approval of the resolution.
Is there a motion for item number 4?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
There is a motion and a second for approval of item number 4. Is there any discussion? Councilman Turner.
Ms. Molly, with this particular change order, with pipe bursting, can you kind of explain what are some of the things that can be encountered when you actually down there replacing and busting out those pipes?
We encountered a high water table in the location where the manhole was set, which makes sense. That's why the manhole had failed. And so because of that bad soil, they had to open up the excavation larger than what they would normally anticipate. Also, because of the high water table, they have to install what they call a well pointing system. And that is basically a pump system to keep the water out so that the workers can dewater it and properly install the manhole while maintaining the safety of the workers in this hazardous environment. And that is something that is very difficult to anticipate before you do this kind of work. It's not until you get into it that you see that there are some significant issues. We had some alignment issues also with the line, both horizontal and vertical, so we're having to correct that as well.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I just think it's important to kind of speak to some of those things with these change orders and the fact that how staff goes out and kind of looks into it prior to bringing it to council. I know I've been pretty adamant about change orders, especially when you get up there in numbers.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? All those in favor of approving item number 4, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. Mr. City Manager, may you do the reading of item number 5?
Council consider a request for a specific use permit to allow a retail store in a general commercial multiple family dwelling 2 district for property located at 3825 West Lucas Drive. And it was at a joint meeting held on May 19, 2025. The Planning Commission recommended 7-0 to approve with the following conditions. Plans must meet all requirements for water utilities for any water and sanitary sewer improvements, including any requirements of the city's backflow, pre-treatment, and our fog program. And 2, compliance with all applicable building and fire codes.
Is there a motion for item number 5?
So move to approve with conditions.
Is there a second? All right, there is a motion and a second for approval of item number 5. Is there any discussion?
I have a question. Why, I guess maybe somebody can tell me, why would they need city black flow and sewer requirements and they're selling hair? This is a hair store, right?
So anytime that anytime anyone goes into a structure, they have to get a certificate of occupancy. And I know that probably Molly can answer a little bit better as to why they would need a backflow system and whatnot for a beauty supply. But it's only required if that what they're doing in there requires it. If it's just retail, then that may not. But I don't want to speak out of turn.
That's correct. We created that language because at the time of the SUP, we don't have all the details of what exactly is going to be happening inside. And so this covers us as they go through the plan review process.
So when it says must meet all the requirements, if it's not required by water utilities, then it won't be necessary. At the time that they submit their plans, it's not really clear when we send it out for review what exactly. So if she was going to do like a salon and not just be selling hair, but do a beauty shop, then this might be a requirement. So the requirements is just if she needs it. It's not if it comes back and they review the plans knowing now that she's solely going to be issued a specific use permit for retail, then it might not be a requirement.
Any other discussion? All in favor of approving item number 5, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. Mr. City Manager, will you please take us into the public hearing, the first public hearing?
Council to conduct a public hearing to receive input regarding proposed fixed and paratransit fares for the Beaumont ZIP Student Mobility Program.
All right, I open the public hearing, and do we have anybody? Yes,
Demi Ingman, Planning and Community Development Director. So as you guys heard in the presentation by Claudia San Miguel, our general general manager of ZIP, we're just considering a new fare. This is supposed to come as a cost savings and a partnership with Lamar and many more higher education opportunities here like LIT and all of the trade certifications. So we look forward to answering any questions once the item comes up and any kind of guidance or explanations that you guys need. And thank you.
Thank you. Anybody sign up?
Yes, sir. Sean Gray, 4400 MLK Boulevard, Beaumont, Texas.
Good afternoon, 4400 MLK. My name is Sean Gray. I'm the Associate Vice President for Student Affairs at Lamar University and currently oversee the Student Health Center that has medical and counseling services available to LIT and Lamar University students. I wanted to applaud Ms. Claudia San Miguel for her approach to us in helping students get to external medical and counseling appointments. We have found, my counselors are here, and my counselors have found that as we refer out into the community, students are having difficulty getting to those referral appointments. Medicals, clients and patients are having difficulty getting to x-ray, to pick up their medications, to follow up with specialty appointments. And we believe that this Beaumont ZIP Transit partnership with Lamar University, specifically with student health, would be a huge benefit to our students and help us improve the wellness and medical services that we provide to our students. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dr. Elizabeth De La Rosa, 4400 MLK, Beaumont, Texas.
Good afternoon. I am Dr. Elizabeth De La Rosa. I am the Dean of Students at Lamar University. And a little thing added is I'm a newbie to Beaumont. I just moved here in October. And so as I came in, my role is to work directly with students. And I oversee a lot of different activities from the residence halls to working with our Student Government Association. And repeatedly, we hear that transportation is an issue. So I'm really pleased to see that there's this partnership between the institution and the community. I've worked at multiple universities across the country, and this is probably the first time that I have seen this type of collaboration. And so I really commend that. I think it is important, as Ms. Gray mentioned, we have students who need to get out for medical services, for counseling services, for those types of necessities. But there's also the greater good of the city of Beaumont, right? We're recruiting students into our little town. And it is a little town. I came from Houston, okay? So we're recruiting these students in, and how wonderful would it be if they have easy access to get out into the community? We take for granted so much that teenagers these days have their own vehicles. Many of our students do not. These are families who are sending their students out, and then they're trying to figure out how to get around the community. We have international student population that doesn't live on campus with us. They're within the community. So they may need to actually get to campus. So there's a variety of different variables that come into play. The opportunity to provide a discounted rate, and even more so to be able to introduce that into their financial aid package so they can get that paid off on the front end. And then not have to worry day by day, week by week, how am I going to get to the store? How am I going to get to my doctor's appointment? Is profound, is profound. If you have young adults around you, you know they have a hard time saving $1, much less, repeatedly. They don't carry cash. They don't do all of those things. And so even though we'd have to teach them and retrain them on how to utilize these services, it is a huge benefit and will bring a huge impact not only to our students, but to our Beaumont community. We are prepared. I oversee new student, I work with partners and new student orientation, our weeks of welcome. We're prepared to promote this to our students and to have them engage and to embrace everything that Beaumont has to offer them. So I support this initiative, and Lamar is right there. Dr. Taylor is in favor of this. We want to make things happen for our community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
That's all I have, Mayor.
All right, the public hearing is closed. Mr. City Manager, will you take us, read item number 6, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Council, consider an ordinance approving new fixed and paratransit fares for the Beaumont ZIP Student Mobility Program. And it comes with the recommendation of approval of the ordinance.
Is there a motion for item number 6?
Move to approve.
Second.
There is a motion and a second for approval of item number 6. Is there any discussion? Yes, Council.
I just want to
Councilwoman
say
Sherwood.
that I love this. I love the idea of this, and I work with a lot of young people, and oftentimes that you're right, they don't have the extra money, they don't have the extra funding, and now there's a little, in lieu of recent events, there's been some skepticism about using Uber, and I think that this will allow our kids to safely move around, and I love that this is being proactively done, and so I'm super excited to hopefully get this passed.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Durio.
So I just want to make sure, maybe Lamar can answer this, that this is covered under financial aid, and that will be, is that part of the ordinance, or?
So I think they're working to get it under financial aid. It's one of the things that they can add to and apply for it. What the city is doing is just trying to put it out for that. The other part will be on Lamar to try to work for that and make sure it's covered. But the thing that you guys are approving today, the ordinance, will just allow it to happen. But I think that Demi mentioned earlier, or Ms. Ingman mentioned earlier, that it is a part of the package that they're working to do.
It would be in collaboration with Lamar. So it's before you guys for the new fare that would need to be implemented. And then we would further collaborate with Lamar and any higher education institution to try to get them that passed.
Under state law, it does qualify though. Okay. It is a qualifying thing, but this is the first step to getting it there.
All right, thank you.
Councilman Turner.
Just interested in the data on the cost saving that actually the students would save by doing this program.
Yeah, so 115 days is about 3.7 months. So at that rate, it comes out to 148, where if you wanted to do, and when you get a month pass, you get unlimited rides for 31 days. So if you were to buy 4 months, then you're paying an extra, I think it was $25 onto that. So it's a cost savings of $25, but also with a student schedule, they don't have to worry about having to buy a pass daily or even weekly. This will be semester long.
Appreciate you. So it can kind of also convenience them and give them an additional discount.
Yes, sir.
Right. I'd just be interested in seeing the survey on, how do the students do and could they afford it? I'm just interested in seeing the feedback once we kind of start the program.
Councilman Hilliard.
Kind of on that same note, will this financial aid apply to the high school students that are traveling? How will they have financial help with this also, or?
So this applies to students who are in higher education. So I mentioned earlier that there are some students at that take classes with Lamar. Just those. I don't even remember what the program is called, but that's actually a partnership between BISD and Lamar. Okay. So BISD actually pays for it, so it would be included in those fees if it became available financial aid wise.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Williams.
So if a student applies in the fall, do they have to go back down and reapply it and hand in their paperwork again if they want to use it again in the spring?
Yeah, I'll invite Claudia up. I know that she's done this program in other cities, so.
I just didn't know if it made.
But she'll know best because she runs it.
So basically, you enroll for that semester, so it will be like enrolling for school. You will enroll back into the transportation service. So a student gets enrolled for the fall semester. They will submit that one page to us, stamped by their designated official at the school, and we're going to be issuing an ID for them.
Okay, I just didn't know if it would make to have an option of full fall and spring to prevent them from having to go back down and go through the process again and. Yeah.
Not all students go traditionally where they go. Some students are cash pay, so some of them may take time off in between breaks. And so the program only works if you're enrolled in school. So require them to show enrollment. So either way, even if you did it for the full year, they would still have to show that they were enrolled in the spring in order to still get the benefit of it, for their pass to be active.
Yeah, I mean, they'd have to be enrolled
Yeah.
in school, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of approving item number 6, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. Mr. City Manager, would you take us into the next public hearing?
Council to conduct a public hearing to receive comments concerning the proposed repeal of Article 6, gaming sites and gaming machines from the City of Beaumont's Code of Ordinances.
Okay, I open the public hearing at this time.
Demi Ingman, Director of Planning and Community Development. This item was pushed forward by a previous council, and so it's here before you guys. I encourage you to definitely ask any questions that you need. I believe that there's some that are here to speak as well on the item, so any questions I'm here to answer.
Thank you.
Lawrence Manuel, 4365 South 4th Street, Beaumont, Texas. Lawrence Manuel. I'm assuming he left. Shazab Nizam, I can't pronounce that. How do you pronounce the last name? Nizamani? Okay, I'm sorry.
I've heard it my whole life growing up in America. Trust me, you're not the first one to butcher it.
Okay, the address is 870 South Major Drive.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. I want to thank each and every one of you for allowing me the opportunity to speak before you guys today. I'm here representing myself along with 65 businesses here in Beaumont. They're all here in attendance today. Each and every one of you. Guys, please stand, raise your hand. We are here collectively to speak against the banning of accessory gaming machines. These accessory gaming machines bring in supplemental income that help us small business owners pay for rising costs of property taxes, personal property taxes, insurance, employment. If we were to ban these accessory gaming machines, we are at risk of losing many small businesses that have been legally compliant, that have followed all state and local rules and regulations. We collectively pay around $520,000 in application fees, city decals per accessory gaming machine, along with employee badges. Those funds go directly to the City of Beaumont. Instead of working to ban them, let's work together to amend Article 6 and work with each other to keep investing in the City of Beaumont. We are all small business owners who have left larger cities to come to Beaumont to invest, to start our businesses. A lot of us live here locally. Their kids go to school here. They pay property taxes here. They have invested their time and valuable resources in this city. I hope with that being said, we can work as a team to keep investing in the great City of Beaumont. Thank you, City Council. Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Daniel Nizamani, 870 South Major Drive, Beaumont, Texas.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Daniel Nizamani. I want to thank everyone for giving us an opportunity to speak in front of you guys today. The reason why we're here, we're against the banning of accessory gaming machines. We are a minority-owned business owners. I'm here with every single one of the guys that's with us that stood up a second ago. Could everyone stand up again, please? We are small business owners. We are not game rooms. Our businesses provide local jobs and revenues. The ban will only hurt working families and 65 small business owners. A lot of these store owners, including myself, have spent $20,000 to $40,000 bringing these businesses to compliance to receive these permits in 2023 to 2024. With the new storefront windows, lighting, cameras, parking lot striping, poles, and other items for compliance. Now, banning them will only put us at a loss by not being able to recoup these expenses. Next, this is about freedom and fairness. Adults should be able to choose legal entertainment. Don't punish law-abiding citizens and businesses over the actions of a few bad actors. Finally, a ban may open the city up to legal challenges and costly lawsuits that will only last for years. Money can be spent better on schools, roads, and public safeties. Let's work together to keep building the City of Beaumont. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ella Briggs, 2270 Gladys, Beaumont, Texas. Ella Briggs, I'm assuming she left, and I have no one else, Mayor.
All right, with that, the public hearing is closed. Mr. City Manager, would you, may we have the reading of item number 7?
Council consider an ordinance to repeal Article 6, gaming sites and gaming machines from the city's code of ordinances in order to comply with the Texas Constitution. And it comes with a recommendation of approval of the ordinance.
Is there a motion for item number 7?
I'd like to motion to table it.
You're gonna,
You got to make the motion.
we gotta
Okay.
move.
I'll make a motion then.
Okay, we have is there a second for item number 7?
I'll second.
All right, there is a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Councilman Turner?
Just for clarity, we'll table it. Can we kind of give staff clear direction of what we're looking to accomplish?
I'm just, I mean, I'm just looking at Fort Worth. I mean, that was 10 years of litigation. Or are we looking at litigation, I mean, possibly ongoing litigation if we do follow through with this?
So Fort Worth's litigation wasn't about being in game rooms. Fort Worth's litigation was about creating essentially the ordinance that we have now. Fort Worth wanted to regulate where game rooms could be placed, and they wanted to put restrictions on their game rooms. And the local game room owners in that Fort Worth area challenged it. That basically their arguments were, you can't put more restrictions on us than any other business. And so they did go through a series of 10 years, basically not for the purpose of banning, but saying that they had the right, the city had the right to offer more restrictive zoning and regulations for those type of businesses. There are two types or several types of businesses that have more restrictive, we call them sexually oriented businesses, strip clubs, allow for more restrictive compliance. And so the city's existing game room ordinance more closely aligns with our other sexually oriented business ordinances. That's what Fort Worth wanted. At the end of the 10 years, essentially, the ruling that they received from the court was that technically these game room or 8-lining machines don't really meet any exception. For example, the fuzzy animal exceptions, and they describe them as unconstitutional. The court did not make a ruling on whether or not these machines were illegal. They described them as unconstitutional. And Fort Worth took the initiative to say, well, if they're unconstitutional, then we don't want them in our city. And that was a choice that they made. The Texas Comptroller is still issuing permits for 8-liners and game rooms. And the state of Texas has not taken a stance on whether or not, and I'm saying the state of Texas in terms of the operating capacity, the governor's office, the AG's office, the Comptroller's office, they're still permitting and accepting and issuing permits for these machines.
So then with the state, it's business as usual. There's no new restrictions or anything coming down.
So this is relatively new though. So, and when I say relatively new, like it's fresh off the press. It happened like last December, and obviously they've taken, like I said, Fort Worth has taken some steps to do it since then. It was it's kind of been their fight, so they've been the first to kind of step out on it. And because it happened, in my opinion, during a legislative year, I just don't think that there's been enough time for the powers that be to really assess what the next steps would be.
Councilman Hilliard, if you'd turn your mic on.
Now, what are the chances of them filing an injunction if we pass this ordinance?
I don't have a crystal ball, I don't know, but.
Well, what will the city have to, I mean, if that does happen, will that?
So essentially, the city has police powers. So when someone files an injunction against the city, obviously it goes before the court, and the court determines whether or not they have the ability to grant that authority. What a local judge will be looking at is whether or not the rulings in the Fort Worth case allow for such actions to take place.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Any other discussion?
I had a question.
Yes, Councilman Durio.
So I heard one of the people that came up and spoke said that collectively they pay over $500,000 to the city of Beaumont for these fees and stickers and IDs and all that. Is that correct?
As far as, it depends and varies, game room to game room, gaming site to gaming site. So there's an initial application fee, and then there's per machine, how many they have, it'll vary. So just say, one pays 20,000 versus one that pays maybe 4,000 less, it really varies, so.
So when the city adopted their original ordinance, again, we recognized that we had game rooms that were operating in our city. The comptroller at that point had said that cities had the ability to regulate game rooms operating in their cities, and they kind of outlined a process. The council at that time kind of just thought it was like a very small, like accessory use. We had no idea they were going to actually have full-on game rooms, or all they have are game rooms. I believe that most of the people who spoke here today actually have gas stations and convenience stores, and they have them in their accessory use wise. But the comptroller said, like, you have the ability to regulate it. At the time, the city didn't have an ordinance. And as you know, in order to regulate something, council has to kind of put forth rules. So we looked at some other cities who kind of had it at the time. I believe our permitting fees were really low, but we just didn't have any data to support it. So we operated under that existing game room ordinance until about 2014. And in 2014, we did an assessment and said, in order for this to not be a deficit to the city, in order for us to be able to actively enforce our ordinance and accurately maintain it, we had to increase our fees. So we went back to council and said, we've collected the data. This is how many police hours we use. This is how many fire inspection hours we use. This is how many code enforcement hours we use. This is how much in-house resources we use to issue permits. This is how much time it takes us to do this. And this is how these are the things that we believe are necessary to maintain a effective and solid ordinance. Again, it was the same ordinance that Fort Worth attempted to pass and just couldn't. And so that's what we put forth to the council. So the fees that we collect from the permitting are actually the cost that it takes the city. The fees pay for the decals, the fees pay for overtime for officers that have to go out. The fees pay for a permit technician to go out and inspect to make sure the decals are in the right place. The fees pay for the permits that we issue. And it does take quite a few hours for us to go out and inspect. And I believe our inspector goes out with someone from fire. So an inspector from fire, sometimes they have to have a police escort. But either way, it's manpower and hours that we're using. And it takes a while to go through the books to make sure that all the decals are right, to make sure all the employees have on the ID badge so we can quickly ID them. So that's what the fees go for. It's to effectively maintain the ordinance and enforce it.
So we're not making any money. We're breaking even, and we're only paying regular fees and permitting and so on and so forth, or are we getting actual revenue from this?
So I don't want to use the term revenue because we don't count that as monies. Like the comptroller is very strict that we can only use the money for enforcement purposes. So a lot of people come to the counter and they want to pay for their permit fees in cash. Ms. Beekman mentioned that sometimes those fees can be in excess of $20,000. It takes a long time to count $20,000. So we purchased a money counting machine. That money was purchased with the fees that we use from the permitting. We issue the ID badges. The money was used to purchase an ID badge for that. The ordinance requires background checks. The money pays for the manpower and the time it takes. So all the city is really doing is not expending additional monies that we would normally pay to do these things. We're using the funds that we get to fund those activities for enforcement. So it's a break even, if you will. It pays for itself.
Gotcha.
Councilman Turner.
City manager, city attorney, maybe you can help out to just explain to everybody what's going on. Normally, when things go to planning and zoning, staff comes up and make a recommendation, or if council members carry it, they kind of, when the first and second come, they explain why it was carried. I think that's where, we're kind of at. Like, who was the first and second, and how did this come about?
So this was actually a request from a former council person when they noticed that a city in our area was also doing the ban. They requested this. This is something that when we put forth our ordinance, we didn't know that Fort Worth was going through litigation, and then we passed our ordinance and we kind of waited, and we didn't get any pushback, so we were kind of like, okay. But we did initially wait for that initial wave to see what the court was going to say. And I think at one point we did like pause on issuing additional permits. But when the court didn't come back and say that these were like bad and the comptroller didn't stop issuing permits, we just aligned our actions to kind of do what the state did. And so council, the decision was made internally to just kind of wait to see what the lawsuit, how the lawsuit was resolved, but we went back to business as usual. And I believe we paused our permitting process for approximately a year to just kind of see. And after there was really no change in the state action, we resumed business as normal. And it was 10 years. So we waited to see the outcome of the lawsuit. And at the conclusion of which the council person, after they, like Fort Worth, and I believe it was the city of Orange, started to issue their ban as well. A former council person asked that this be workshopped, at which point we workshopped it with council. At that time, council said, let's see what planning and zoning will be next steps. And we gave council the option to either do nothing, send it to planning and zoning. Council opted to send it to planning and zoning. Planning and zoning reviewed it. We also did a presentation with planning and zoning. They had the option to make the game room locations stricter, limiting them to only industrial areas.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks. Limiting them only to industrial areas, or to, so changing where they could be located in the city, or do nothing, or a flat out ban. The planning and zoning made a recommendation at that time to do a flat out ban. And so the recommendation that's before councils today is a recommendation that was from planning and zoning made, which is to ban. However, council has the ability to, again, have the same and similar options that were presented to planning and zoning. Council could decide not to accept the recommendation to do a full-on ban and just reduce the locations for which game rooms can be located. What that would do is that would only apply to new applicants. So anyone that is already existing in a location inside the city would remain and be allowed to operate up and until their permit was either revoked or lapsed. You can have, if they fail to timely renew, it would lapse, in which case, under the new ordinance, they would not be allowed to be at that location again. If it was revoked, again, it could be revoked for a myriad of reasons in the ordinance for violating any of the outstanding requirements. And if that happened, they would not be allowed to be issued a permit at that location because the ordinance would prohibit it if they were located outside the industrial zone, of course. And then also the council has the option to do nothing, which was just to leave the ordinance as it is.
I understand. That's why I asked for it to be explained, allow council members to get clearly more time to understand what we're dealing with today.
Thank you, Councilman Turner. Councilman Durio?
Yeah, what's the difference between not constitutional and illegal?
So those are just like really terms of art. And I think when you say something is illegal, there is a law that has said you cannot do that. So, and I'm going to try to like explain it without getting too deep into the legalese. Yeah. When you say something is unconstitutional, what you're saying is there's no like protection from it. And they use this exception in their opinion, basically saying that they had given exemptions to places like Chuck E. Cheese and main events for the fuzzy animal things, saying that these things did not constitute those things. And what they're saying is that that really doesn't apply to them. And so they're not illegal because there's been no law to say that they're illegal. Courts can't make laws. The legislature does. So in those three branches, right? So the court is saying, we don't really rock with it, but our legislative has said, but there's no law against it. So they can't say that it's illegal because you're your senators and your congressmen haven't came out and basically said that 8-liners are illegal. So that's the difference. So court says unconstitutional because that's the legal jargon that they've been given to work with. The legislator gets to say that it's illegal. Separation of powers.
So, what was it? That confusing, but
So no. So you have to think of it like this. So if our representative at the state level put out a law, they put out a bill that said that they wanted to declare 8-liners illegal, then they would be illegal.
and that's when the comptroller would stop issuing licenses.
Right. But the court can't do that. The court, because there's no law that says that 8-liners are illegal because the legislature has not said that, the court cannot use that term of art because illegal means there's a law that prohibits it. So they use what they can use, which is the Constitution, because that's what the court is required to uphold. So they can say things like unconstitutional because again, there's no exception for it, but they can't use the term illegal because there's no law for it.
So the court has taken action, but the legislature hasn't.
Correct.
If I might.
Yes, Councilman Crenshaw.
I'm almost positive, and to build off of what Mrs. Reed said, the Texas Constitution was amended by voters to allow legal gambling for the lottery only, okay? And so my understanding is the only legalized gambling in Texas is the lottery, and that's what the Texas Constitution says. And so I think that what the court is saying is that 8-liners are unconstitutional because the only constitutional permissible gambling in Texas is the Texas lottery. So that's my understanding about why it's unconstitutional. I may be wrong about that, but that is my understanding. And there have been efforts to amend that and change that have been unsuccessful.
So that's correct, but that's why you can't use the word illegal. It's because there's not a law against it.
So it's the different branches of government not working together.
I don't know that it's not that they're not working together. It's just that there's been no one at the legislative level that's said that this needs or requires our attention. So there's no one pushing a bill forward.
What would happen if we voted for the ban and then they never come back and say it's illegal? I mean, they just keep issuing licenses.
The court has said that it's illegal by saying that 8-liners are gambling, which is unconstitutional because the only constitutionally permissible gambling in Texas is the Texas lottery.
But she said there's no law saying that they're illegal.
So they haven't said it's illegal because that's not their role. They said it's unconstitutional and that there's no fuzzy animal, they don't qualify under any fuzzy animal exception. So essentially, the court is saying if a city wanted to ban it because they're unconstitutional, you could do that. So if you ask me what happens if the state of Texas continues to issue permits other places, they'll just be able to operate in other places, but not in Beaumont.
If we pass the ordinance, that's why the ordinance is before us.
And I had some additional questions, if I might, Mr.
Go ahead,
Mayor.
Councilman Crenshaw.
Orange, did Orange pass a ban?
I believe that they're in the process right now.
I believe so. A couple weeks ago when I checked, they did their first reading, but they hadn't affirmed their second reading.
Has any city in Texas actually banned it as we are seeking to do here?
Fort Worth and White Oak.
Okay. And in those two cities, were injunctions filed afterwards?
There haven't been at the moment. Not in Fort Worth. I don't know about White Oak.
Okay. When a permit is issued, how long is the permit good for?
A year.
1 year. And of the current permits that we have, I noticed that it's being proposed that this would continue for 90 days, and then after the 90 days, it has to stop. Does that mean that in 90 days, all current permits will be expired, or are there permits that would go, say, through the end of the year?
It would be effective within 90 days. But again, if council wants to do something different from that, it can always be
To answer your question, Councilman, no, there's no the permits aren't from a calendar year, so they would actually.
It's at the date of issuance, sorry.
It's a date of issuance. So someone who received a permit on September, I'm just going to use the date that's on the screen, on September 26th of 2024, their permit would be valid until September 26th of 2025.
Correct. So when was the most recent permit?
I believe it was in April, was the last one, I believe.
So could we move forward with the ordinance, but also say that any permits that are still valid from the year, from the date of issuance will remain valid and would have to, and so instead of the 90 days put in here, could we just say that the permits as issued have already been paid for and already been complied with, continue to be good until that ending date?
Yes.
I'd like to add something.
Councilwoman Sherwood.
And I mean, just in an interest of fairness, or we maybe could amend that the permits that have been issued not only go through the end of their one-year term, but maybe allow them to continue indefinitely without issuing any new permits. No, more people. The people that are in, or the people, and the people that
I
are.
think that you would be, you're
Kinda like
suggesting a
grandfather.
moratorium.
Right. I don't know. I guess we're gonna,
Go back to
yeah.
Saying,
Table it.
you're saying pass this, but it doesn't affect current owners, just
Correct.
no new permits will be issued.
Right. That is just a thought.
So if we were to do a moratorium, essentially everyone who has a permit right now that remains valid in that with their permit status, they would be able to continue their operations. But essentially a moratorium would be like no more new game rooms, no more new permits issued for anything related to gaming.
Correct.
Would they have a time limit on that? On the moratorium?
I would have to look at the state law.
Yeah, we need some time to kind of really address that one. But there's a motion to table anyway, so I guess we have time.
All right, and Councilman Williams, then I'll get to you, Councilman Turner.
Whenever someone violates whatever rules are put in place for these permit holders, what happens to them? Are they done? Are they fined? Are they?
So there's a process, and so it depends. So like if the ordinance specifically states if you violate part of the ordinance, you can be fined, you go to municipal court, you do something like that. But there's also, if there's gambling at the site and there's charges filed against that, then there's a process to revoke someone's permit. And I can say that I don't believe that we revoked as many permits since we've had our new existing ordinance. It's the new ordinance is a lot stronger, so it allows for a better process. So we haven't had to revoke any permits probably within the last couple of years since we've had it. But they would revoke their permit. And so if you have your permit revoked, then the ordinance says that no one associated at that location or associated with that permit can apply.
Typically, we give a certain amount of days to come into compliance. Like, let's say that you go out there, you have to make sure that you have like fire exits. You have to make sure you have an alarm system, camera system. If there's anything that's lacking in there, normally they have X amount of days to fix that. And so far, everyone's been pretty cooperative to do so.
All right, thank you, Councilman. Councilman Turner.
Well, that was one of my things with tabling. If we did decide to table, just to give staff clear direction on what to bring back to us. That's why I kind of appreciate the dialogue, because I think we bounced off enough things that if we did decide to go that direction, I just want staff to be clear on what council members are looking for. Because I, just through experience, that's one of the struggles. If we're not clear and they bring it back and we haven't defined what we want them to bring the information back, it's kind of in limbo. So, I support and I understand getting detailed information to make sure we're clear with staff so they know what to actually bring it back and a timeline when to bring it back.
Fair enough. Any other comments? Councilman
So probably everybody in here noticed they just did a raid over in Orange County and closed every gaming establishment. Have they ever done that here in Beaumont?
Raids?
Raids and just shut down all of them?
So I don't know that we did raise to shut down, but I know that when we did our initial ordinance, we knew that there were game rooms existing in our city, so we sent out notifications, and we did a very good job of, I believe Chris was kind of over at the time, but we tried to notify them as much as possible that this was coming, and gave them time to kind of come into compliance with that. And after that grace period ended, we did do several raids to confiscate illegal operations, because at that point we did have an ordinance that required them to comply. So there was at that time, and we did several during that time, which was just kind of how we knew that we needed to increase our fees, because we had the data to support how much time and effort it took to kind of do that. Since having the new ordinance, we do more inspections and more compliance checks than we do actual raids.
So are these inspections, when they go out and inspect, most of them are in compliance?
I think it's fair to say that, again, as City Attorney mentioned, this is kind of the third iteration, maybe the fourth of an ordinance. But going back many years when this first started out, if we had folks that were operating outside of the ordinances, those are the ones we tend to have raids. But over the years, as more and more folks have come into compliance, I think it's fair to say we've had fewer of those issues.
They inspect every year?
So they have random inspections, and I think this is closer to Demazie, but I believe that we do random inspections and we do compliance inspections. So before they can get their permit, we actually go out and inspect the site as well.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. When you go to get your permit, before it's issued to them, our staff goes out, our permit manager and game room administrator goes out with typically fire and building code staff to make sure that the building is ready for occupancy, and if everything is good, they have their ID badges, XYZ that the ordinance requires, then we issue that permit. And then random inspections happen throughout the year.
And so, and I believe that some of the owners spoke, sometimes like when they go, it doesn't, like their space isn't right. Like you can't, the game machines can't be behind like a closed door. It has to be easily accessible. Like you have to be able to see it. So some of them have to make modifications to comply. So there are occasions when they say, no, we can't issue a permit because you're not meeting the requirements, right? So before they issue a permit, there is an on-site inspection. There's a lot of stuff that's required in-house, but there is an on-site inspection. And then after the permit is issued, there's another inspection or random inspection to make sure that they're still in compliance with the ordinance, making sure that those decals are on site, because if you have to register your machines with us and with the comptroller. So if we go out and you have, let's just say you said you had 6 machines at your location, or 3 machines at your location, we show up and there's 6 machines. Well, these other 3 aren't registered, and that's a violation of the ordinance. So we actually go out and make sure that what they applied on their application is exactly it prior to the issuance of the permit, but actually there's just random inspections and what you would call audits that they go to make sure that they're in compliance with that as well.
So would y'all know, like, out of all the random inspections you've done, say, this year, with the majority of the folks, did they pass them? Are they in compliance?
So we typically don't issue as many citations under the ordinance. For the most part, we have some solid compliances. Like I said, the ordinance itself is a lot stronger. Citations in the ordinance could result in the revocation of your permit, not just a citation or a fine. So like I said, a revocation of your permit, if you lose your permit at that location, anyone associated with that permit, that would be the owner of the establishment. Some of them have managers, and all the other associated individuals that you have to list on your permit will be prohibited for applying for a game room permit. So it's a very strict ordinance. So we have a lot of people that are in compliance. I believe most of the calls for service are for like loitering, but that is not necessarily connected to the actual activity inside. It could be external, like people gathering, people just kind of being there. So a lot of those things are unassociated to inside. Most of our citations at the location, like I said, we just kind of pulled up in our random audit and someone was smoking inside the building. That's illegal. That's a citation. That could cause you to lose your permit.
Councilman Hilliard.
Yeah, I have so these machines can't pay more than what, $5, $10 to the people playing them?
They're not supposed to issue money at all.
So how do we track how much goes in and how much comes out? Do we do that at all?
We don't.
So we have no idea how much money's being put in these machines, and we have no idea how much money they're actually paying out.
So again, they're not supposed to be paying out any money because as Councilman Kershaw mentioned, that would be a form of gambling, and gambling is illegal in Texas. There is a law that says that. So essentially, these individuals it's supposed to be recreational play, like at Chuck E. Cheese, you play and you get tickets. They play, they get points, and they get little animals not to exceed the value of $10. $5.
How do we make sure they're not paying out?
There are videos and there are other things, a part of the ordinance is what, I don't know how often they're reviewed.
Yeah, so there's some enforcement and compliance. I don't know if BPD, I don't want to talk too much about how they kind of operate for special purposes, but I know that they do audits and they'll, kind of walk in and see. Most people tell on themselves. We've had people complain and say that they didn't pay them their winnings. That's happened. So people kind of call and say, that they're at such and such location and they're refusing to give them their money that they won. So that those are kind of things that kind of happen. But essentially, it's just kind of random enforcement and random inspections.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? And then Councilman Turner, and I agree that we need, if there is the motion to table, we need to give direction on council because there's been a lot of discussion up here in terms of what we're wanting from the city attorney's office in terms of the ordinance, if we're looking for it, if we're looking to proceed on this. So, Councilman Turner.
That's what I was gonna do. If we're gonna table, what I like to see is BPD actually have opportunity to come speak to some instances. I like to know if a room is caught doing things that they're not supposed to do, is it automatically suspended? The permit, is it gone? Do they have another opportunity to get it right? I just like clarity on exactly what's going on. And I don't wanna come back and we say, well, I think Orange is doing this, or I think Lumberton is doing this. I wanna know if it's actually done and executed.
So no, Orange has posted it on their agenda. It requires multiple readings and multiple actions because you are taking away, you're repealing a law. So there's a process that you have to do that by. So they're in the process. Now, whether it passes is yet to be known, but it is something that's come to fruition in Fort Worth and in White Oak.
So, and for clarity, if we were to act on this today, it would come up again in 2 weeks. We would have to act on it again. And then if we both times chose to approve that ordinance, then it would go into effect in 90 days.
That's correct.
So just for additional clarity.
Mayor?
Councilman
Also, if it's okay, I'd like to hear from some of the inspectors too. But also, when they mention a moratorium, that doesn't mean we could set a time limit on that. It doesn't have to be at the next meeting.
So, no, I believe what Councilman or Councilwoman Sherwood had asked is that instead of straight banning, is that we just do not issue new permits. And I put that in the ordinance that no new permits will be issued after that. And I believe Councilman Crenshaw's suggestion was to ban them, but not to make it go into effect to revoke their permits, but just allow their permits to expire naturally. So that would allow anyone who had already paid the money for the permit to get the full value of the permit. At least that was my interpretation of what was it.
That's correct.
Very accurate.
So,
I have a question, Mayor.
Yes.
If there is a permanent moratorium, will we continue to do the inspections and permitting of those that are grandfathered in?
We would need to, yes. So if we went with the moratorium option, which is something we'll have to research, what'll happen is that we would probably need to reevaluate the cost of the permitting, the cost of inspection to make sure that our fees align with our enforcement efforts. But those individuals who opted to still participate would still have to pay a permitting cost because we would have an existing ordinance that they would need to comply with. We just wouldn't be allowing new individuals to come in. And I believe our fees account for enforcement as what we have now, so.
All right, so is the motion is on this or the table? Because the table came, I need clarity on that. Are we voting to table it?
Yes, sir, that's the motion that's on the floor.
All right. All those in favor of tabling the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Me.
Me.
Me as well. So is that 4-3? All right. With that, it is now council member comments. I will start with Councilman Crenshaw.
Mayor, real quick, I'm sorry, can I get the 3 nays?
Myself,
Myself.
Councilmember,
and Councilman, we're going to go to council member comments. Councilman Crenshaw, I try to alternate from one side to the other. Sometimes y'all may need to help me, but I know I started with Councilman Durio last time because he gives me the stink eye every time I start with him.
You can start in the middle sometime.
No comments. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Councilwoman Sherwood?
First, I'd like to say thank you to all the city staff and everybody that's working really hard. I appreciate you. I appreciate all the work that you do. It doesn't go unnoticed. I'm grateful for all the meetings, and I'm excited about the mobility for young people. That's great. So I understand that mistakes are made. However, knowingly, intentionally, and recklessly pulling stunts is unacceptable. In order for city government to function effectively, members of the council must first adhere to established protocols and demonstrate respect in all communication, both with one another and with city staff. These rules of engagement are not just procedural check boxes. They exist to maintain order, ensure transparency, and foster a professional environment where city staff can carry out their duties without fear of retaliation, confusion, or political interference. When these norms are ignored or disregarded, it creates unnecessary tension. It disrupts operations and undermines the public trust we all swore to uphold. That is why I'd like to formally request that council receive training or some structured presentation on institutional norms and appropriate conduct. Because Joey, I cannot be
You
called.
referred to council.
Councilman Joey, I can't be called to be a fourth vote. I believe that is a violation. And we have been instructed not to negotiate in legal proceedings. And further, we as council should not be sowing discord. This is about reinforcing the standards that allow us to work together effectively and uphold the dignity of our offices. Respect, professionalism, and accountability must be the baseline, not the exception. So let us recommit ourselves to the standards our constituents expect and deserve.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Williams?
No comment.
Councilman Turner?
Mr. Manager, I know a citizen came up speaking about racquetball. Can we kind of look into that and see if it'll be beneficial for the future in the city of Beaumont? Madam Attorney, I know we've met about House Bill 969 with the child safety. If I can get some support to at least get with the BPD and see if it's something that could be feasible for the city of Beaumont and kind of come back to it. I actually applaud this gentleman. You came several times and I was elected. I hear you. So I want to see and get some feedback with BPD to see if it's something that may be feasible or something we need to look into in the city of Beaumont. Mr. Manager, Ms. Addie Allen, I know she's came about the emergency management. I think with it being hurricane season, hopefully we can knock on some wood that we don't experience it, but if we can kind of get the transparency of our plan out to the community prior to, that would be good. And I have to say, Open Meetings Act, what I heard about a fourth vote, I can't speak to it, but if that's the case, it needs to be discussed and it needs to be handled because we can't operate that way. And if that's the case, we'll have to make some decisions on how we'll move forward with that, because we have to operate within structure. We have to. Only you two know what you talked about, but if that's the case, we need to address it if it happened.
Thank you, Councilman Turner. Councilman Hilliard.
No comment.
Councilman Durio.
Yes, Mayor. I spoke on it a little bit earlier, and I just wanted to reinforce, we do work on this dais. And we have agenda items come up. If nobody does makes a motion or does a second, then we can't discuss it, which means we can't do our job. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to discuss this stuff on the dais, not on social media. This is where we do our work. So if we can't get a motion and a second, then we're being prevented from doing what we were elected to do. So I just want to reinforce that. Also, piggyback on what Councilman Turner was saying, I think had we spoken about getting an ethics policy created for council?
Yes, sir. It's drafted.
It's drafted? Okay, that might be a good idea also. And also, I had a citizen approach me, and I thought it was a pretty good idea about maybe approaching Drainage District 6 about putting playground equipment at the hike and bike trails. So like when you go out walking or whatever and you have your kids, and they could be playing while you walking around the hike and bike trail. And that came from, I'm giving this credit, came from Councilman Getz, or former Councilman Getz, but I think that's a pretty good idea as well. Something we could look into. Parks could probably look into that and see what the cost is. And and I just wanted to say, y'all left me out of the presentation over there for years of service, because with the fire department and city council, I got 35 years of service, but that's okay, I'm not complaining.
Sounds like you're complaining a little bit. Public Works Director. City Manager Boone.
Real quick, I just wanted to acknowledge item G on the consent was to reunite the pedestal of the George O'Brien statue, which has been in Pipkin Park, and we're moving it over to the Art Museum where the statue is currently. I just wanted to acknowledge Jennifer Trenbrith, who's been here, and she and her family are helping to make that a possibility. So I just wanted to acknowledge her.
Thank you.
Just wanted to thank Claudia and the Beaumont Zip staff for the student mobility program. I know that they've worked really hard on that to bring it to you guys. And then also Jess Prince, our community services manager. She worked really hard to get the consolidated plan together and the annual action plan for the HUD funding that we receive, which is critical to our community. So just wanted to thank them.
Thank you. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things. Let's see. Councilmember Turner mentioned a couple of things. Miss Allen, she knows I really care for her, so we are concerned about what she says. We did bring a report to council once before about the communications notification process that the city has, and so we've communicated that, but we'll make sure and get that's communicated well during this hurricane season, like you're saying, council member. So you can't do that enough. So I totally agree with us doing that. Let's see. Notification, council. We'll be setting out some the policy on putting on guidelines for getting things on the agenda, items. We have new council members who want to make sure that process is clear for everybody and getting that stuff on. So we'll be getting that out this week, hopefully, now that things have settled down a little bit. And that's all I have.
Okay. Well, and I want to remind everybody, school is out. It is summertime, so certainly be mindful when you're driving during the days. There's a lot more kids on the road and kids coming out of driveways. Also, please pay attention to your neighbors and any elderly neighbors that if their powers, I forgot you, didn't I?
You always do, but it's okay.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
She's talking about today.
Madam City Attorney.
You can finish just before, I'm gonna let you finish, but before you adjourn.
Okay, I'll give you an opportunity.
Yeah, before you adjourn.
And I do want to remind people that in the event, certainly, and particularly with older people, that you be mindful if power's out or if they, keep an eye on them because it can certainly, it is heating up. And I'm excited about the Beaumont Zip with the students. This is something that I know Jaime Taylor, President Lamar, reached out to me at some time and being able to organize routes so that we will be able to better serve the students and attract additional student population here in town. And Juneteenth is a big celebration here in the city, and certainly invite everybody to come out for that. And adding the air-conditioned tent this year, I think will make many people happy. And certainly, as we've got 4 new council people right now, and there is a learning curve when you come on here because I've only been here 2 years, and I know that I've still learned things. So with that, we're going to now recess into executive session. Thank you, coming. Except we're going to go to Madam City Attorney. Man, there is just something there. I'm sorry. I know. Yes, Madam City Attorney.
It might be a sign. I don't know. But there was a lot of discussion as it relates, and I applaud the manager for resending out the rules for how we get things on executive session. But I guess just publicly, I want to state that although my title says it all, I am the city attorney, which means I represent the city as a whole, which means my client is the city, which means I answer to the city. Individual council members or even two council members can't direct or move my office. It has to be the city, which is why when I meet and discuss with council, it has to be an executive session because you guys as a whole have to be there and be present. The flip side is that if someone asks me to do something that is not in the best interest of the city, I ethically can't do it because I would be acting against my client, which is the city's best interest. And I know, as is mentioned, there's a learning curve. Governance and operating in city government is different than operating in corporate America. Councilman Turner and I, when he first got on council, had to have that learning curve because he was very clear, this is not how you run a business, but I said it is how you run a city. The mayor and I have had those conversations again because he it's different. Corporate America and city governance is different. But at the end of the day, the curve is always, and my goal is always to operate what's in the best interest of the city. And I know that that's hard for people to comprehend because individually there's some interests that align, but I only operate and answer to the collective. And so if there's ever a time when an individual council member is not aligning with what's in the best interest of the city, my job and my only job is to protect the interests of the city. All I can do is advise. And so if the collective body decides that they want to do something that's against the best interests of the city and go against the advice of the city attorney, there's really nothing I can do about it. But when it's not the majority and it's not a quorum, and the city charter says that a quorum of council is 4, then I cannot act. And I wanted that to be clear for the record because I know there's been a lot of misconception about that. And I hope that clears up some understanding. I know that this is new and I'm allowing grace because that's what we're taught to do as Christians. But it does, I appreciate those that have asked the questions and tried to reach out and tried to offer understanding. I'm here as a resource and I'm available to help, but I wanted that to be clear for the record.
Thank you, Madam City Attorney. And also for the record, it's not air-conditioned tent, it's a misting and cooling station. So it is not air-conditioned. So I don't want anybody saying to me on the 14th, because I did say air-conditioned, I apologize. So with that, we're recessed into executive session.